Good morning and afternoon, everyone. And welcome to Stack's Year in Review. I'm Brian Steinert. I recently joined Stack as the VP of Product Management. I'm incredibly excited to be here and even more excited to share the amazing work that our product, engineering, and design teams have accomplished this year. As you see from the agenda, actually, if you can go to the agenda slide next, we do have a lot of ground to cover. So first, let me introduce the team presenting today. Allison Hunter will kick us off with an overview of key deliverables within the build and operate application, followed by David Fouché, who will do the same for estimate enhancements. Ryan Bender will take us home by walking us through a demo of what's new this year in Takeoff. Allison, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. So on the construction side, I've got a few things to show you today. Starting off with, we're so excited to be Stack Build and Operate. So we've rebranded the SmartUse product to become part of the Stack family. For those of you who use SmartUse, you've seen this front and center on the apps and in the web product today. With the features we've built this year, you can do more. So you can manage more project data. So on the left there, you can see it's really difficult to find the right information at the right time. With this year's enhancements, you can store more project info in the workflows where everyone on your project has access to it. You can also speed up project kickoff. So we've seen more companies striving to standardize their processes this year, and we're supporting you with the support of our project templates. And you can also improve field collaboration. So more people connected means more smoother projects and also fewer mistakes along the way. So let's start with this managing more project data. Workflows, it's a small little word, but it means a lot. There's a lot of and very powerful system behind our workflows. You can use this to initiate, track, and complete just about any process that's important to your company. So this includes these 6 items: RFIs, PCOs, COs, shop drawings, submittals, and tasks. Those come out of the box. And then you can also create as many customized workflows as you'd like. So you can configure anything that's important to your project team. Once you've configured this, you can also speed up your project kickoff by using our project templates. So without further ado, I'm going to hop into the product and show you around a little bit around these workflows and templates. So first off, take a look at my left menu. You can see those 6 workflow types that I mentioned earlier. If you don't use all of those, you can shut them off, but they're all available for your project team. And then you can see I've also configured quite a few more workflow types. So you could do it in inspections, non-conforming item, transmittals. Pretty much any of your company processes can be added here as a workflow. You can have long processes, and we also support French translations. Let's look first here at my RFIs view. So this is my command center for the RFIs. I can change this view as much as I need, so I can move the columns if I need to. I can add additional. We've got all of these different columns available. You can tailor this view to what you need. You can see that I've saved that as my main RFI log view, but you can save as many versions of this as you'd like. We also have a few out of the box. So if I just need to get started and move some things along, I can look at my draft RFIs, my opened RFIs, push them to the next person in line. I'm going to go back to my main log here. We've also got a few quick filters. So if you're just looking for your items or just looking for overdue items, you can just quickly filter and move and keep moving. This list view also allows you can generate an Excel report. So this will help you if you need to take your RFI list to your weekly meetings. You can pop it out into an Excel, adjust as you see fit, and go ahead and do your OAC meetings. I'm going to dive into one of these items. So all of our workflows include all of these different sections. And throughout the year, we've rolled out different sections, just kind of adding to our base workflow. So at the beginning, you might remember that we had this general section that includes the title, reference number, and important things like assignee, due date, priority, status. Those are all pretty critical pieces of information on every workflow. We also rolled out more recently this additional information. You can use your disciplines to categorize items on your project. You can customize what those disciplines are. So just match them up with what your project needs today. We also have cost and schedule impact, which are obviously very important for certain workflow types like COs and PCOs. On the left, we have the description section. This is really where most of the information is going to be added for every workflow item. At the beginning, you might fill out the description as you work on it, or as the team tries to figure it out. You'll add more information, and then by the end, the resolution, which is how the team's going to proceed on that item. We have comments where you can kind of ping each other back and forth with questions about this item. Related items like photos, you can attach as many photos as you want, and also link existing plans in your project today. Last but not least, I'm going to show you a sneak peek. So we've got attached files. This is coming soon. This probably rolled out in the next few weeks. We can attach as many different file types as we need here. We've got, I think, we're support for 40 plus file types. You can see I've got an Excel, I've got a drawing file, I've got a video file, whatever it is that you need to support these workflow items. So that's pretty exciting. Here, these individual items can also be printed out in a PDF report. So you can kind of see all of that basic information that we have for that report today. As you work these items through the system and through your team will receive email reminders along the way. So as things get signed, due dates get changed, comments get added, things like that, everybody stays in the loop along the way. We also have a very robust history tab. So as you add information, oftentimes you want to come back and take a look and see what happened. When did this specific thing happen? It can be very important. Usually you're looking for a certain thing that changed or a certain person that did it. In our history, we support filtering on by who it was changed by, and we also support filtering on the actions. So if you're wondering, you know, who keeps changing the due date, you can easily filter that, and I'm the culprit, unfortunately. But this allows you to really leverage that history to find the information you need quickly. Okay, great. I referenced several times as I was talking about workflows about things you could configure. Let's talk a little bit about our project templates. I was mentioning people are starting to try to standardize their projects a little bit more as you grow in size as a company. This can be really important. Go look at my projects list. And you can see down here on my projects list that I have a few template projects. Any types of projects that you have as a company can be created as a template. I'm going to go into my large project template, but you can see I've also got a small project and a renovation. In my large project template, I've got certain folders that I've got set up. This is how I want my project to go. Those will be copied when this is used as a template. We also have a lot of project settings in here, and I'm going to start by looking at those workflow settings. You can see that I can turn these on and off, those 6 custom, or those 6 out-of-the-box workflows, but I can also customize all of these other workflows as well. So for inspections, I've customized all of the draft statuses for these inspections, as well as the priorities. So when I use this project as a template, it will automatically adopt all of these settings. And that's just an example of one workflow, but you can imagine it takes a little bit of work to get those set up just right. You might have run through them in a project, made some tweaks, so now you can use those to kick off your projects moving forward. Also in settings, we've got a few other ones that I just want to kind of quickly hit on, and that is in issues, you've got some custom fields that you can create. And then also project fields. This is where you store disciplines. So disciplines for your project, as I mentioned, you can tailor this list to whoever happens to be on the project. You can also tailor this list how you see fit. If you're a big sub and you want to go ahead and tag things based on your scope of work, as far as maybe drywall, windows, and doors, you can do that. You're a GC, you might want to go ahead and tag things based on your subs working on that project. So there's some flexibility built in back here that will allow you to make sure that it's really tailored to your project. When I go to my project settings, you can see now if I create a new project, one of the first items here is a project template. I can simply go down and grab my large project. And if I go ahead and give it an address, create that project, it will copy all of those settings over to that project. For example, I'll just show you the issues. There's the discipline and the severity that I mentioned. So those templates can help you just kick off from the get-go, make sure that your project is set up as you'd like to start off your project. Okay, also this year, we've worked on features that will improve your field collaboration. First one being our Procore integration. So the Procore integration helps you to simplify the process of working with GCs or other entities that are sharing drawings with you via Procore. This will automatically import drawings into your build and operate project from Procore, and it'll keep you connected. We've also got daily reports and workflows for iPhone. So everything I just demoed on workflows is available both on web and on iPad so that you can work with it either in the office or in the field, but it's also available on iPhone. So this allows you to kick off, add, edit, or review a daily report from your phone when you don't happen to have your iPad. And also all of those workflow, all of the workflow functionality that I just demoed. So that's all in your pocket, which means you've got access pretty much 24/7. If you think of something random at a random time, you can just open your phone, go ahead and contribute that information to the project record, and then everybody else is aware as well. So that's a wrap from the build and operate side. And let's move on to takeoff and estimating with David Fouché.
All right, sorry folks, I had to share my screen and then I had to unmute my mic. It is awesome to be here today. I can't tell you how exciting my 3 years at Stack have been. It just keeps building and building and building, and there's so much more. I just looked at our list of features for this past year. In the takeoff and estimating side alone, we had 67 features released since January 1. 67. So if you do the math, that's like 1.5 a week. So what you're paying for Stack, you're getting real value. We're just cranking them out over and over again. And I'm just going to be able to take you through just a few. My side of it is mainly on the estimating side. So I'm gonna walk through that, and then Ryan's going to take it from there and show you the rest of the stuff. We can't even touch all of them. All right, so let me move over to an actual. All right, so here I am in the estimate. You all should be familiar with this by now. If you're not, you need to take a look. This thing has grown so much in the last 2 years. It's hard to believe when I go back and look at slides from January, just how much this has improved. So I'm going to start with, I just realized I had need to go here first. There are 5 basic themes that I broke this down into for estimating alone. So if I think about all the features we did, we help you sharpen your focus in the estimate, right? Instead of having a massive spreadsheet, we help you sharpen your focus. We've given you the ability to estimate labor. That was a big, big thing. So you've got a big, number of hours. We've given you better tools to organize your project and say, this is what I'm estimating. This is what's in, this is what's out. Really, really fine tuning the control of your quantities, which is really important. And with that goes the production and the coverage rates. And we'll show you how that works a little bit. And then finally, the ability to see the big picture. So, you sharpen your focus, you get into it, you get deeper, and I'm purposely getting closer to the camera, and then you back out again. And as you back out, you're going to see the big picture. Oh, wow, that's where we are. That's where my profit is. So let me walk you through all this stuff. It's pretty exciting. All right. All right, fasten your seatbelts. Let's go. So here's the estimate worksheet. And one of the coolest things we gave you this year, it's hard to believe it was this year, I couldn't believe it either, was what we call views, saved views. So I can come in here and say, hey, I have a focused view that I want to look at. So I can click on this little view here and it reorganizes the estimate, same data, same selling price and all of that, but just organize my view in a way that I want to look at it for something that I need to do at this moment. For example, here I've got something that I'm going to go to everything. I just want to see everything fully rolled out. How many line items do I have across all phases, all sheets, all everything, right? And then I'm like, okay, now I want to look at it in a different way. Maybe I want to look at just labor hours. One of my favorite views, and this is another feature we delivered, is what we call company views. So in my company, I've set up this thing called item unit costs. Everybody in my company has access to these views. So if I click item unit costs, what it boils down to is a rolled up version of just the unique items, the quantities, and the costs. Man, what a simple view, right? So you can sharpen your focus on what you're trying to do. It's like, it's really, really helpful. Now, another thing we did to also help you sharpen your view, if you may, is to make it far more easy to see things. So you may not even be aware of this, but before it was a little harder to determine what you could edit, what you couldn't. Well, now it's pretty easy. If it's white, you edit. If it's gray, you can't. That's pretty simple, right? So things like the measured quantities, which are coming from your takeoff, those are gray. Hint, hint, 2025, they're going to turn white, but I don't want to say any more about that right now. Another thing we could do. So if I go up to one of my company views that I love, grouped. So this is a grouped view where I've grouped by, and we'll explain more later, but I've got my takeoff. Oh yeah, I know that's a takeoff because I recognize that icon. That's an assembly. I recognize that, right? And not only that, we have this gradated gray here that shows you kind of the division of these groupings as you go down, and you can see exactly where you are. On top of that, these colors here, really, it was kind of funny. We took a long time just to establish those colors because we wanted to get them perfect. But now you can easily distinguish between your cost types across the project. So a lot of really good stuff that just helps you sharpen your focus if that all makes sense. Okay, let's move over to labor and estimating labor. Well, you could estimate labor before by saying it takes me X amount of dollars to install this quantity of chipboard. But we wanted to give you better refinement. What if you just want to calculate the number of hours it's going to take and actually think of labor in terms of a unit of hour? That's you're not thinking dollars, you're thinking hours. That's what you want to do. So I'm going to come way back into my library here, okay? And I've got an item here, the whole category of labor items. This is install ACT. All right, we gave you this hours purchase unit. Now this is ours. We own it. It's called ours. We made it. You can't delete it. So it's available on all your projects, everybody across the entire universe who uses Stack. What this gives all of us is the ability to say, now we understand what ours is and we can track them. So in this case, I've got install ACT ceiling. I've established it as a labor item. It's going to be $65 per hour. That's my base labor rate, let's say, for this particular item. But up here, I set this to hours. All right, so what happens when I do that? I'm going to close this, go back to my estimate here, and I'm going to come down to going down to, let's just go back to my default view because so now if I just looking at my default view really quickly, we'll reinvoke that here. My purchase quantity is going to show numbers of hours, right? So these are my labor items for whatever they are. If I go way up here to the dollar, I got installed plumbing fixture, 16.2 hours. If I scroll over to the right here and look at my totals, you're going to see that all adds up to an hours column. And then down here, that leads all the way down here to this, at the very bottom of my screen, you've got the total number of hours for this project. So now we can leverage that in other ways. So the next step will be to take that and say, what if I want to establish labor rates and apply those to those hours? What if I want to group those hours into days, weeks, whatever, and start to project over time? Lots of good stuff that's going to start to happen there. But we didn't stop there. So you've got your labor hours, right? But then you want to say, I want to adjust the productivity rate. Well, this plumbing fixture, yeah, given the crew that we're going to be working with, it's probably going to be more like 3 plumbing fixtures per hour. So let me just type in 3. I can change that rate right here, right? I change that rate, it updates the hours. And it even tells me this no longer matches the default. So my default for that was 1 thing, but now I've set it to 3. If I say, oh gosh, they made a mistake, I need to reset that. Yeah, just do that. Reset it back to the default. Now you're back to 4 each per hour. So we've given you control over that productivity rate, which leads to hours, which is a huge part of your estimating project. All right, so that's number two, estimating labor. Let's talk about organizing your project. A couple of really cool things we've done here. I'm going to step into Ryan's territory briefly because we did something here that really benefits the estimate, but it's something that everybody wanted. Hold your breath. What is it? What is it? What is it? Wait for it. We added categories. So all of these takeoffs can now be grouped by categories. So let me show you how that works. I go in here to say brick. Down here, I have this thing called tags. So you can tag any takeoff with a number of different tags and apply the value. And what that means is, oh, David, that's me, by the way. David is going to be the one who does this takeoff. He's going to be in charge of this takeoff. We've seen people use it this way. It's a great way to do it. This takeoff belongs to CSI Division 4. Not only that, for our company, it's the exterior masonry, not the interior. So let's go back here and see how that plays out. I'm going to group this first by CSI division. Cool. Oh, look, I've even got non-measured items. Wait a minute. With zero measurement in my, is that like my general conditions? Wait for it. I'll get there. And then here you've got, so you've got division 4. Yeah, but we break it into interior and exterior, and we break, our openings different. Yeah, just add your company scope. Right? So now I've got company scope. So I've got division 4, which is of course my masonry, but then I've got interior, exterior, I've got doors versus windows, all of that categorized. All right, take all that, float over to the estimate. Let's see how that plays out. So I'm going to come in here and I've got this company group called grouped. And what this does is apply all of those tags. So look at that. There's my non-measured items, my general conditions, zero measurements, but I can type in the quantities for those. Great. Can't do that in the old estimates, by the way. So come down here, I've got my brick, interior, exterior, all of this plays out. So I can really organize my estimate exactly the way I need to organize it. And it's tied to the takeoffs. So they're completely integrated. It's great. And then on top of that, we said, all right, what if you want to define your scope? What if for this particular estimate, I'm not going to do all of it. I'm just going to come down here and do openings and finishes, right? 8 and 9. So divisions 8 and 9. Let's apply that. This is more than just a filter. What this does is says those other things are out of scope, and just the finishes and openings are in scope. So it takes all of that data, reapplies a view, and my selling price down here is changed because that other stuff is now out of scope for this particular estimate. So lots of flexibility there. You want to come back and say, copy this estimate? Sure, come up here. You can say copy estimate, change the scope, and do another part of the project. You can do this by phase, by assembly, by takeoff, by tag, sheets, lots of different ways you could organize that scope. All right. So that's number 3, organize the project. The next one, which I'm most excited about, is what we did this year, is give you the control over these quantities, right? So what's important to these, let me just switch to yet a different view, because that helps me a lot too. I'm going to go down to phase breakdown, because what I need to do is control my productivity rates by phase. And I'm also going to look at my purchases by phase. These things are happening in 2 parts of the year, first half of the year, second half of the year. My ACT, I don't want to buy all ACT for the entire project. I want to buy it for phase 1. Well, I've got 32.24 boxes. Yeah, I need to change that. Yeah, that's fine. Just change it. Just change it to 33. And of course, it tells you what the new coverage rate is. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not too worried about it. What's more important here is this purchase quantity, right? I've got 12 hours. Let's change this thing to 250 for the rate. And that gives me 9.67 hours. You know what? Let's just bump that to 12 hours. Let's go assume it's a day and a half. So it bumps it to 12 hours. Look at that symbiotic relationship between the rate and the quantity. These two work together. If I change the rate, changes the quantity. If I change the quantity, changes the rate. So much control here. It's hard to describe how that's going to play out. I could come in here, for example, to a view that just shows my labor hours. All of this is just my labor items and just my labor hours, blow through my productivity rates. I could further group this by phase. Let's come down here and say, yeah, we're going to have different productivity rates by phase. Do it. Whatever you need to do. That's the whole point. You have complete control. And at any point in time, if you say, yeah, I'm looking at this, just round this thing up. Man, I've been wishing that Stack would let me round up. Oh, look at that. Round purchase quantity. Click that, and it bumps it up to 6. Yeah, but could I do it like this? Sure. Select, round them. Wow, could I do it for an entire grouping? Absolutely. You could even do it for the entire column. So what we did is, instead of in the old estimates where everything was either rounded or not, we're giving you control of that quantity. Again, that theme. I want to round these guys up, but not those. Or I want to round this phase up and then round the phase 2 separately. So I could come down here and say, I've rolled up phase 1. Now I'm going to round up phase 2. That's going to come up with a different number at the end, but that's what I want because I want to control it by phase. So much control here. It's even hard to describe, but it doesn't stop there. So let me come down to doors and okay, this guy here, what's going on here? I can't change the rate. That's because that number is coming from an assembly. And guess what? We gave you the ability to edit that assembly right here in the estimate. Booyah. Don't have to go back to the takeoffs to do that. You can just come in here and say, you know what? I think they're actually going to be able to crank out 3 doors per hour. So watch what happens when I do this. I'm over here, 17.6 hours, right? 2.5 each. Let's just save that assembly input. Now this is a simple example. So it changes that, it changes the quantity. Imagine some of the more complicated ones that we have, like concrete and rebar, where you've got all of these assembly inputs. Oh, and by the way, while I'm here, yeah, I could just say, you know what? I'm going to change this from a single door lightweight. That needs to be a heavy duty or whatever. You change it right here. You don't have to go back to your takeoffs. We're building closer to what we call that independent estimating. For us, it's an independent workflow. You can work in the estimate, go back to the takeoff, work in the takeoff, come here. It all plays together. All right. One of the most exciting things for me has been this drawer right here. You probably didn't even notice this. If you didn't, that's okay. You've got all of these other costs that you can add. So in the legacy estimates, you could add a markup, you could add tax, you could add overhead. Guess what? We just expanded that and blew it out of the water. Now you can expand, you can do direct, indirects, contingencies, overhead, profit, tax, any of these things that you want to do, give it a name, and then you have different calculations types. Well, this guy's a handling fee. I just want 15,000 for that. Oh, distribute that back into the estimate, please. So make that part of the distributed base cost or the distributed margin, and it feeds to the subtotal. This is kind of there's a lot here. I can't explain it all, but like, let's say you wanted to take your finishes, all your finishes you want to mark up by 7%. Okay, grab that tag, that label of CSI Division 7. That's the basis amount. That's 7% of that, and we're going to push it back into the estimate. Then you do your contingencies, your overhead, your profit, your tax. You can, all of this, you can control so much of this right here. And then it doesn't just sit here. That feeds our dashboard. So I come here and I'm like, oh, look at my gross margin. Look at my net profit. Look at my productivity per square foot. Look at my selling price per square foot. Look at my breakdown for my cost types here of how much I'm spending. I could even say, oh, wow, I didn't know I had, material tax. Yeah, you've added tax to just material. Booyah, I'm in the big picture. All right, guys, in about 6 minutes, 8 minutes? I don't know. I took you all the way in, came all the way back in 1 year. So with all that said, that's where I am. You all are incredible. Thank you for being such great customers. Stick with us, man. 24, 25 is going to be we're just going to keep taking off. Ryan, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Great. Thank you very much. As David kind of alluded, we have done a lot of feature releases this year. And so I get to talk about the bulk of them, and hopefully I can cover them in the time that's remaining. Just to kind of keep it simple, though, a lot of these features kind of work together to paint a better picture. So as you can see, we've kind of bundled these together into 4 main themes. So we have features around larger teams and projects, being able to see more project data, helping you work more efficiently, and then, of course, most importantly, keeping you in your flow, because your time is very, very precious. So without further ado, let me switch over to my other screen. Hopefully I picked the right one here. And first and foremost, we're going to kind of dive into the larger teams and projects. And one of the features that we had in that bucket is going to be custom project statuses. We were hoping to have it released earlier this week. It didn't quite make the cut. There was a couple of other things, but it is coming soon, either later this week or next week. So be on the lookout for that. Custom statuses for your projects are going to live under your account settings. So if you go to the person with the gear, account settings, and then come over here to your company settings, scroll on down just a little bit under your project settings, you'll see a new field here called project fields. And what that does is it gives you much more control over what you are assigning this project and what status it currently is. Now, if you're a lifetimer like me who's been in Stack for going on 9 years, you know this has been a really, really big request for a really long time. So it is coming soon, finally, to a theater near you. So what you can do is you can actually give these statuses a custom name, and what you're going to do is actually link that to a specific workflow status. And the idea behind it is that we're going to kind of keep some metrics and reporting and analysis behind the scenes so that later on we can understand exactly when you say bidding, what does that actually mean to us, to kind of help relay that information over to you. So that should be coming soon, like I said, either sometime this week or next. Kind of expanding on that, we've delved really deeply into the user, what a user can and cannot do in a project. And so we've added a lot of different user permissions, and you can control this per user. It's outside of any of the roles that you might have. So these are extensions. as you could say, for the roles. And so as an account owner, I inherit all of these by default. But if I were to go over to like a takeoff operator, for example, I can fulfill the role of a takeoff operator plus more. So I can add the ability to maybe delete a project, or maybe I want to have let the takeoff operator control the libraries. Maybe I don't want them to annotate. I just want them to just focus on drawing takeoffs, right? Whatever it is, you can kind of control what they can and cannot do. By extension of that, we actually have a different viewer role experience as a result. So bear with me just a second as I switch views one more time. And what we learned is that the viewer role has, they need to do just a little bit more, just to make sure that they're part of the team. They can work and collaborate along with the rest of your team, help you make informed decisions and the like. So with the extension of that annotation permission, viewers now have kind of a really comprehensive suite as far as what they can do inside of a project. So this, I'm logged in as a viewer. I'm looking at this project. As you can see here on the overview tab, I can see exactly the same data that the estimator drew. Really, really powerful. As a viewer, I can now actually show and hide takeoff. So if I open up this reflected ceiling plan, I actually have control over what I can show and show. There we go. Looks like it's taking a second to load there. That's okay. I also have the ability to annotate. So if I'm over here on this particular tab and I say, hey, what's going on over here? Let me just, I need to throw a dimension line on this real quick. How long is this wall? They can do that now. If they want to leave any notes, so using a call out or text box, you can kind of leave each other notes. So it really kind of opens up the playing field for the viewers to actually be a participant in these projects. And that's just not someone that has to be internal, right? If you think about it, you could also, add someone who's external to your company as a viewer to your account, and you can limit their view, down to this project, and they can actually interact with you back and forth. It's really, really powerful. So a lot of these different features kind of work together to kind of help complete that picture. Another thing that's under the account settings that's going to really, really help. Again, let me switch my views here real quick. We released this earlier prior to this year, was actually offices. So offices kind of again ties into that concept of, hey, these particular people function together, so they should only be able to view certain projects, be able to work with different libraries, items and assemblies and the like. So again, all of these kind of piece together to help you paint or give you more control over what's going on in your team and in your projects. Second to that, we did an overhaul for your libraries. One thing that we've heard from a lot of folks is as you work with more teams, you have different divisions. And instead of having multiple Stack accounts and managing a whole bunch of other stuff, you can actually create as many custom libraries as you want in the same account. And again, leveraging offices, leveraging permissions, people see only what they need to see, right? So you can kind of see how this all plays together. And that means, I can go ahead and build out just my roofing division, just my masonry division, right? And make sure everybody can work accordingly to that. There are a ton of different settings as well. So clicking on the gear icon, this is where you can kind of manage permissions as far as, who has access to it. Should it default to metric versus imperial? Which offices are assigned to this. And then of course, you can also manage the purchase units of your items that are within this. And so this is where you can actually manage that. You can add new ones, kind of customize and things like that. So all of this kind of plays out as we move items and assemblies and eventually takeoffs over to this new home called library. All right, moving on in themes, we wanted to help you see more project data, right? It's great if you can control all that, but you're going to be creating a lot of data as a team. So I need to be able to see what's going on. So one of those keys is being able to sort my plans, right? It's trying to help you find where you're going. Well, we added this new button over here under the plans tab. So we default to alphanumerically, but if you prefer the document order in which the multi-PDF was created, just click that button and we're going to reorder the list so that it actually shows in the document order. In this particular case, they're one and the same. Second to that is we made it a little bit more clear when you're using multiple scales on a certain sheet. Some people may not know this, but we do support multiple scales on a sheet. All you have to do is just basically say, hey, new scale, choose the right scale, and you're off to the races. And you can do this as many times as you want. but it wasn't very clear what scale you were actually about to use, and which ones were actually for which. So we kind of made it a little bit more clear. So first, here on the overview tab, we added this little badge here that says multiple, lets you know, hey, you have multiple scales assigned to the sheet, and you can actually see at a glance which scale is for which sheet. But if I go into here, into the sheet itself, you'll see that I have the 2 scales that are currently active down below. I have 1/2 inch and then 1:1. And what I can do is actually click on this particular one over here, and I can see that this one changed to green. That's my 1:1. Come over here, that's my 1/2. And what's really nice is if I wanted to continue on with that 1/2 scale, no problem. That's the active one. Just go ahead and draw another dimension line. You're already working at 1/2 scale. So it's a great, easy way to make sure that you're working in the right scale. We recognize that there's more work that we can do just to make this process simpler. Don't worry, we are definitely thinking on that one. Let's see, we talked about scale badges, multi-scale, takeoff list display. So all is well and great if I'm over here on this particular sheet, I'm looking at my takeoffs. And you know what? I really don't care about these decimals at the end of the day. It's all going to get rounded up. I just want a nice clean view, right? So, 152.91, that's great. It's really 153. Not a problem. Come up here to your person with the gear. Under here is preferences. And we added a new option down here that says, hey, what's your takeoff list display going to be? So you can actually set that to 0, hit save. Bob's your uncle, it rounds everything accordingly. Just cleans up and makes it a lot easier for you to recognize. So quick note as well, in case you guys aren't aware, another preference there is going to be your full screen crosshairs. And that kind of gives you a nice little view, adds a little crosshairs to your cursor. So when you're measuring, makes it easier to line things up. So just want to make sure you guys knew about that. Last but not least, we have custom symbol sizes. And this is going to play out really well for our landscaping folks. So let me switch over to a landscaping project here. And I'm going to zoom in over to these guys. This Shrub MP. So what we've done is under the takeoff settings, under the symbol size, traditionally we had small, medium, or large. We now gave you a custom option. And that allows you to type in any value that you want here. It's in inches. And we're going to rescale that shape to that size. To give you a picture, let me switch over to large. You can see that's what large looks like. But what's different about these options is when I zoom in and out, that symbol also increases and decreases in size. Now, if I switch over to a custom size, that locks it to that size and it will no longer adjust its size. That makes it, helps you paint a much clearer picture, especially when you're doing in the landscaping world, to make sure you counted every single one of those bushes, because you always got to double check those. So awesome. So that's more project data. Let's move on to working more efficiently. So if I come over here to my project list, we've added a new add-on to your Stack subscription. So this is a separate charge. This is mainly really useful for landscapers and for roofers. We added this aerial imagery. And what this does is instead of you spending 2 hours or 4 hours out of your day driving out to that site, taking a bunch of pictures, coming back to the office and measuring a bunch of stuff, we allow you to add an address to the project. And then you can retrieve different aerial sets. You can choose a structure, which is going to give you the obliques and the down view, as well as a site area, which basically kind of takes a much larger zoom level. So it kind of zooms out to like a subdivision, for example. It takes a quick snapshot of that division for you. What that does is that plays out over here, is we're going to actually give you not only the obliques, so you can actually kind of see the three-dimensional view of that building, we're also going to give you the top-down view. Automatically, we've tied Roof AI into this near map integration, this aerial imagery. So not only do you get the images, we're also going to create takeoffs for you by building to help you understand what's actually going on. So we're going to pre-scale, pre-draw the whole 9 yards for you. If we're able to detect a pitch, we're going to draw this as a pitched area takeoff. And if I click on the takeoff name, you'll actually see some of the information that's available. So if we can give you the building height, we will. We're also going to give you the dominant pitch in both angle and rise and run. So that it gets just enough context so it helps you make your decision whether this project is even worth your time or not. If you need to go out and make more on-site decisions, you at least know what you're getting into just from this. All right, continuing on the theme of AI, let me switch over to credit union here. AI has been a really big theme in 2024. Everybody's been spending a lot of time trying to figure out what does that actually mean. And I'm sure you guys might have heard in previous webinars, either from us or from other companies, AI is not here to replace you. AI is to be your assistant, right? It's supposed to help you and improve your workflow, help you make the right decisions. And the way that we've applied AI here at Stack is really to kind of help facilitate or remove some of the tediousness, because we realize that your time is extremely precious and we don't want to clutter your time, we don't want you to spend more time than you have to on the takeoff side. We want to get you over to the estimate, making those big decisions about productivity rates and making sure that that project is priced correctly. So what we can do is, let me turn this back on here for just a second, is we have the options for just a general overview for Assist. So if you're kind of starting out and you say, hey, I just want some basic information about this project, you have a button down over here on the right called Assist. If I click on this, I can capture the doors, rooms, windows, and walls right off the gate. If you're an electrical user, under the Stack Labs tab, by the way, we're testing out some electrical symbols. So if you want to play around with those, please do. Let me know what you guys think. But for now, we have floor plan that's available to everybody. Again, this is an add-on, so this is an additional to your Stack subscription. But the key is we're going to pass this sheet over to our AI partner. They're going to figure out all the measurements for us and then come back with the results. So this can take anywhere between 5 to 7 minutes, depending on the day, what's going on. So you can kind of work sheet by sheet, say, great, this sheet I want doors, windows, rooms, and walls. Go on to the next one, and then maybe jump over to a different project, come back at a later time. Great. A different way that we can approach this is one we recently, is we've incorporated that same concept for floor plan AI into your measuring workflow. So not only can you send the whole sheet over and get something in that regards, we're actually pre-inferencing these sheets for you so that when I go and draw, and oops, my apologies, I think I've been in the wrong project. Probably the wrong tab. There we go. Let me jump over to this one. So what if I'm going to need to measure ACT1? I say start measuring. I now have this new option down here under draw mode. It's the same icon as our Stack Assist. So that lets me know, hey, this is all AI data. When I click on that, what we're doing is we're actually fetching the results from our partner and overlaying them on top of your sheet. So all you have to do as a user, I'm drawing as ACT1, click, 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 click. Done. Oh, forgot that one. And that one. Done. ACT1's done. And that took me, what, 20 seconds? Probably faster if I'd actually not spoken. But that's not it. I can actually jump over. I can go ahead and create a new takeoff, right? Let's call this drywall. Don't mind my spelling. It's always atrocious. I start measuring, jump over to assist mode. Guess what? The same data is available. There, and oh, right over there. Look at that. There you go. Drywall's done. So the whole point is to kind of apply that same AI logic and embed it into your workflow so that you can have a little bit more control over the data, but also spend less time actually drawing the measurements and getting you over to more useful actions. All right, extension of that are some new capabilities to some of our existing editing tools. So I'm actually going to borrow this guy over here, this particular room. So what we can do is, yeah, this is great, but maybe I need some parts and pieces of this particular measurement. And I want to take this and make it work for me, right? So what I can do is I can actually explode this. I'm going to hit the X on my keyboard to initiate our explode tool. As then I can actually say, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and take this grid pattern that I have on my shape. I want the horizontal to go to my cross T takeoff that has an item attached to it, my vertical that has a main T attached to it. Oh, let's put the perimeter over to this. I can actually pick and choose where these things are going. Some of the new options that we have is our intersections as well as our tiles. So in our particular case, we have this 24 by 24 grid. I can actually explode those into individual tiles. So I'm going to hit, I was going to do a dry fall so we can actually see a color difference. I'm going to hit explode. I'm going to say delete the original measurement, get it out of my way. Boom. I got all of those measurements from one, as easy as that. And again, if you have your items and assemblies already added to these takeoffs, we're already calculating exactly what you need for those parts and pieces. So again, it's just a different way to leverage the data from these measurements, make them a little bit more useful. Another point is, say I'm going through here and you know what? I don't really need that point. It's going to annoy me. It's going to ruin my calculation that I'm trying to, it's affecting what I'm doing here. No problem. If I click on the shape and I click on that point there and I hit delete on my keyboard, it's gone. So we added new delete points. I know that was a big request for a lot of people, so it kind of helps you clean up some of the measurements and mistakes that you might make. Last but not least, this is all great, Ryan, but what about getting this data outside of Stack? Well, we did a lot of improvements around printing to make it, one, simpler and easier to understand what you're printing, and two, help it be a little bit more performant as we're going on. So now if I'm ready to go, I hit the print button over here. We've kind of consolidated some of our options. It was a little unclear as far as what's actually happening. So we now have a full sheet option or your current view. Current view is always based on your current zoom level, whereas the full sheet gives you the whole sheet. If I choose full sheet, I have the ability to include or exclude takeoffs or annotations as well. So let me just say just that, hit print preview. Just like before, you're going to get a preview and then you can download that sheet as you see fit, but it gives you a little bit more control as far as what you're printing, gets you to that goal a lot quicker. But we didn't stop there. That's great on the sheet, but we also added the same concept over here on overview. So if I print, I can say, just go ahead and print everything in this project, or maybe I'm only interested in the sheets with takeoffs. So we're going to filter out anything that's not drawn on and only give you those, and again, give you control over takeoffs and annotations. Additionally, we have the same capabilities over on the plans tab, just in case you're over there too. You can do this even by folder. So if I click over 3 dots next to the folder name, I can say print all the sheets within that folder. We also gave you the ability to download all sheets in the project, and this is just a blank download, no takeoffs or anything, in case you needed to extract those sheets out of this project and go elsewhere with it. Maybe you deleted a copy somewhere or whatever, you can always get those back out. All right. Last but not least, I talked about keeping you in your flow. So what that means is when you're in draw mode, we want to try to keep you in draw mode as much as we possibly can. So what we've done is when you group by plan name, we've given you new options to say, hey, you know what? I'm ready to continue working on A101. You now have a button over here that says open, and we're going to go ahead and open up that sheet for you. Not only that, if I'm back over here in the overview tab, I say, hey, I'm ready to draw on 111, this ACT, I'm going to hit start measuring. We're going to open up 111 reflected and put you in draw mode. And if you have to continue drawing ACT on a different sheet, I'm going to switch to another sheet. We're going to keep you in draw mode. You're still drawing with that same takeoff as well. So that's part of our cross sheet measuring. Last but not least, we have a new option to snap to your measurements. This is a little button right up top here. So let me click on that. So let me scale this page real quick. So I'm in the process of drawing. Great. I'm going to click over here. Let me zoom in real close. And at a certain point, when I get really close, we're actually going to snap, as you can see, to that measurement that I just drew. And that helps me make sure that I don't have any gaps, or maybe I need to align certain things together, so on and so forth. Whew, that was a lot to cover. So just to recap, let me switch back over here because I know there was a lot to cover this particular year. So we kind of bridged over 4 main themes. We have larger teams and projects. Under that, you see all the different features that we're geared towards that. Seeing more project data, working more efficiently, keeping you in your flow. Again, the whole goal here is to kind of get you through the takeoff process as quickly as possible, help you have the right conversations in the takeoff space, but get you over to the estimate, get you over to build and operate as quickly as we possibly can, because that's where your time is more valuable spent. And that's it from me. Brian, if you would like to take over from here.
Excellent. Thanks, team. That's tell you what, there's a lot for me to learn as I came on board, and this just reconfirms why. There's just so much the team has been able to accomplish in in a short amount of time in this year. So, you know, and one of the things that I really love about Stack is the focus on listening to our customers and the market and translating what they hear into meaningful enhancements. They really truly add value to the experience, as you just saw. That will not change as we head into 2025. So what is next? Now, I don't want to give too much away, and I know the team has hinted at a few things along the way, but I'll share a few themes that will drive much of the focus. So first, efficiency. Now, we're always looking for opportunities to enable you to do your work faster and with high quality. We have a ton of great ideas from spending time with many of you, as well as opportunities we plan to capitalize on from emerging technology to drive efficiency and ease of use into the customer experience. Next, connection. There are two angles to this theme. The first is we're building connectors with downstream solutions in your ecosystem, such as the Acumatica and Sage products, just to name a few. The second is building a richer and more dynamic integration between Takeoff and Estimate and Build and Operate that will enable meaningful integration of the work being done by different teams and facilitate better collaboration. And finally, we will continue to expand Stack Assist with new trade-specific tools like we did this last year with Floor Plan AI and aerial imagery. 2025 is going to be a whole lot of fun. Now here at Stack, we're excited to continue innovating. If we can go ahead and go on to the next slide. Here at Stack, we're excited to continue innovating and bring you the best products in the market. And as mentioned, we can't do it without you. If you have any great ideas that you want to share with us or simply want to let us know your interest in participating in feedback sessions as we build out new capabilities, scan one of the QR codes. We still do have those, yep. And let us know what it is that we can do to build things in a more optimal way. We love to work with you and can't wait to work with you on that. But before we close, I want to remind you, if we go on to the next slide there, Ryan, thank you. Before we close, I want to remind you of the many help resources available to you. Now, please be sure to take advantage of all the opportunities to let us help you use Stack in the most optimal way possible. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Hopefully you learned something new to take back and implement in your day-to-day, and wish you and your families all a happy holidays. Thank you so much.